survey which we did with the various leaders, they come from the two different organizations in India, which is not IT but many other industries, called Federation of Indian Industry, and there is another group called Confederation of Indian Industries. Put together, we reached out to 327 leaders. Some of them are CIOs, some of them are the CTOs, and some of them are CEOs as well. And very interesting kind of a survey result came in. So if you look at the DASA DevOps certification or the learning skills for the DevOps, there are three layers. There is one layer called fundamentals. There we have two programs now. One is called DevOps fundamentals, and based upon the industry's input, we also have come out with DevOps engineering. And very interestingly, when we reached out to this different set of leaders, they felt, and 85% of them felt, that we require to have fundamentals right, the languages right. We should understand what exactly the nuts and bolts of the transformation journey. So importantly, everybody should have it. And 62% of them have strongly agreed to do a DevOps fundamentals, do this kind of fundamentals training across the organization for journey to begin. Some of them, they feel that they can do it themselves and they do not have to go through, but they're required to go through. Now, if you move into the DevOps certification scheme, the middle layer is called professional certifications, which has three categories. One we call enable and scale, for those people who are scaling the transformation journey in the organization. Another set of certification which is called specify and verify. It is all about creating the business documents, creating the architecture out of it, developing after developed solutions, they can verify that it is tested well before it gets to the production. And the third, which is nuts and bolts of the bolts of transformation, is called create and deliver, where the digital products are created and it is delivered to the customers to create the values. Very important, and very delighted to share that 85% of the resources in their transformation journey belongs to this category, these professional levels. And all of them, they feel especially create and deliver and specify and verify are important ingredient for them to be successful in transformation. Now let's move on to the last layer, which we call it the top of that, is called the leadership programs. The leadership level, we have three programs out there. One called product owner or product management. The second one is called the DevOps leader. And the third one is called DevOps coach. In this category, there is a very varied kind of opinions. One, the product owner one, they feel indeed very large population of this group of 327 from FII, which is Federation of Indian Industries, or Confederation of the Indian Industry. They feel that the product management, and especially when we are moving into the future, the product management is a paramount important. And 71% of them, they feel that the product management is very important, very important for them, and they would like to have the product management um, capabilities and competency within their organization to reach out to their market. Now, the contrasting view of the another program which we have called DevOps Leaders. 68% of 68% of leaders, they feel they don't require DevOps Leaders program. And why? Because they are already leaders. They understand what to do. But we'll talk about in a while. But 32% of them feel they require to develop the different mindsets. They require to acquire a different kind of a capabilities to be successful. Interestingly, this 32% who said we require this, they have gone through the digital transformation. And out of the 62 who said no, they have not tried yet. They're just they're thinking that they will be able to do it. They have not done yet. So that's a difference. Now the last one, DevOps coach. Many of them were not even aware of what is meaning of the DevOps coach. Of course, there are some discussions and the questionnaire which went through, and then they said, "Oh yeah, we got it," and 39% of them said that we can manage it through the leaders. What we have talked about, that they can do it, but the rest of them feel that this program is required. That is 61% of them, they feel they require to have DevOps coaches. So in overall, if you look at our DevOps certification programs, majority of the leaders from these different industry groups believe that for them to be successful in their transformation journey, these programs are well positioned. This creates a value proposition for their development. You know, I believe in going and reaching out to the people, doing some surveys, getting out some data. And the last few months, indeed, I would say 1.5 years, we started a kind of reaching out to different leaders who have gone through some kind of transformation in India as well as outside the country. And with these various surveys or the discussions group, we noticed that 70 to 80% organizational leaders have recognized that agility is paramount to their organizational survival. Their organizational survival is dependent upon how quickly they become agile, right? Many of these leaders have got into the journey of transformation, and they have abandoned these transformation journeys halfway through. Some of them have attempted not one time, but the second time, even third time. And every time they had painful stories to share. And I'm talking about the 70-80% of them have shared. Very interestingly, that matches with what we have seen in Gartner's as well as the McKinsey report, that 85% or 70%, the Gartner talks about 70% and McKinsey talks about 85% of the transformation failure, digital transformation failures. Now the question is, why is this happening again and again? When we reach out to these leaders to get their views and experiences of their stories, we found that each one of their transformation initiative had few things in focus. Sometimes it was cultural transformation, sometimes it was to do with the processes, the structures, and the leadership styles, and the other times it was bringing the enterprise architecture or technological changes, and a few times they got obsessed with the customer centricity. So every single time they start working on to, they had a 1 point view or maybe couple of points view when they got into the digital transformation journey, right? And these these when they went through this journey, when they went through this journey of transformation in the past, and when they've failed and they have attempted to come back the second time, there were different approaches. They use a different vendors, and when you ask these when you ask these leaders, they they talked about they talked about their experiences, saying that sometime um, sometime we never got the support from the management. Sometime when we were working to the processes, we found that the culture was not right. Sometime we found something. These transformation leaders felt that they have been pushed very hard to think about the future. And this single dimensions or double dimensions initiative is not fit for the complexities that we are going through today, and that too in the times of uncertainties which is happening, and it is becoming more volatile as the time passes. Now their whole thinking is how to upgrade their skills to, or how do you do differently in their transformation journeys, which is full of the baggages of the past, which is complex, which is uncertain. In short, they are overwhelmed and are struggling to fulfill the promises these transformation journeys are making. And they are struggling that how they are going to survive if the failures are quite often. To just to answer this question, what you said, I put together this context. In our DevOps program, we looked at these all different dimensions and how exactly single dimension and double dimension has been taken. We put all these dimensions together and presented a very fresh perspective for this digital transformation to take place. Our coach program sums up 4 core areas of transformation: people, processes, tools, and organization. It is multi-layered. We don't look at the transformation at the organizational level, we also look at the transformation of the self, the individual who are there in the journey, be it leader or be it the acceptor of the change which we are taking place. So their self journey, their learning journey, and then it goes to the how they work together as a team. Then we work to look at the processes, look at the culture, and this bringing them together, these 4 different dimensions, bringing the different competencies which is required to be successful, and anchored towards principles. That's the philosophy when we wanted to try out, and in our view it is going to work because it is inherently a developmental approach which is humanistic centered and also driven by the data. It is also driven by the performance matrix which we talk about. In our program, we are not just talking about the data, we are also talking about the head and heart. Data is head, and then the subjectively reaching out to the people individually as a group is talk about the heart. So we bring the head and heart together. It is an integral approach of left and the right brain combination. We look at that every single thing in this program very compassionately, and we also look at all the conflicting views. It is not just for the conflicting, but there are different ideas which can come together, right? And that makes the difference in our program. Our view is, when you have the different conflicting view, when you have a heart and head coming together, when you have the integration of the four focus areas, I'm sure the transformation journey is going to drive the success. And that matches with the 15% who have been successful in the past and what McKenzie talks about. They all have done this kind of approaches. They brought the integral approach into their transformation journey. And that's the focus of the DevOps coach program, to look at the integration of head and heart, integration of the four dimensions of the organizations, look at how it can be humanistic approach with the data. Let me begin with my own country first. Yeah. Um, of course, there are different countries, different cultures, different thinking about the tools and the technologies, and how do you combine them, how do you blend them. So let me start with my own country. India as a country is serving the rest of the world from their technology understanding. So in India, if you look at, the culture is how to build solution faster. Which technology can help to do that work? Yeah. Um, and therefore, the whole idea in India is that becoming adopter of the new technologies, quickly learn about it and bring it to the solution, and therefore the transformation will come through. And when we do a DevOps fundamentals in India, or when we do a DevOps coach program in India, we find that they look for tools, they look for processes. How do you bring the tools and the processes so that transformation becomes easier to do that? Now, I got many chances to go to China and few times to Japan to do these particular programs. Very interestingly, the Japanese culture is a very hierarchical in order. So there, if you put together the process and the hierarchy, and things will happen. But in the DevOps world, we talked about the autonomy, we are cross-functional team, there is a very flat structure and all the stuff. They don't understand it. They don't understand that. They feel that tell us and we will do it. So in that culture, the DevOps adoption is a very different kind of surprises. They are trying to, but then say how exactly it is going to fit into our command and control exercises, which is very dominant in that culture. Now coming back to Japan from China or from India, it's a kind of a mixed. There is a command and control kind of things, but they're also trying to adopt the deep democracy. So they are trying to see how exactly that can work. But interestingly, a lot of things which is there in the DevOps comes from the Japanese techniques and the approaches and the method of leans. So they I think overwhelmingly they adopt this. They feel that's the part of their culture that's just happening there. Nothing new about it, right? They all has come from the manufacturing background, and they understand the flow, they understand the feedback important, they understand the continuous improvement, because it all comes from there. And absolutely that is fine. Only challenge which you get there is the command and control. Some kind of hierarchical order is still present in that country, and that impacts the way we think about the innovation, the way that the structure is followed out there. Now, when you move to US, it is absolutely a different kind of understanding, right? It's a, it's a, it's a the oldest democracy. The people have a very different mindset. They're very independent thinkers. Um, um, and there, that's the challenge is that how do we come together? How do we come together? They form a group, but they don't form the teams. And interestingly, when you talk about the teams, I think there is an aha moment, and they feel that they can do something about it. Now, what I found in Europe when I do this program, they 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 are very much interested to learn. They are very much interested to adopt it. They are they are they are thinking that how do we come out of the traditional methods of development, traditional approach of thinking to go it in the digital. So there is a the culture of learning is very high. They are willing to try out the new things and adopt it and move forward. So there's a lot of energy which I see in Europe. Now, you come back to Southeast Asia, where I have done many programs. I think they are adopters. So whatever the European do, whatever the American do, they try to adopt all of that and improve themselves. And that's the way you need to also talk to them. You understand that culture, understand actually where they are coming from and what their perspective is, and how do you bring all those perspective and challenge some of their thinking and support also some of the good things which they have. And that's very interesting to do this work across the world and learn from them. How do we make it more relevant for them? How do we bring the common culture of DevOps transformation across the globe? I think we did we started doing um, programs online across the globe since April, uh, and before that we did classroom sessions for 3 days and 4 days time. And I found that both of them have their own sweet spots. Both of them provide different kind of experience and energy, right? Some provides a space for learning, space for doing some work, and then coming back and sharing. The other provide the connection, reaching out to people in their energy space and learning from there, working together in a group, in a classroom setting. So it both of them have its own dimensions. Going forward, if things works out for us, probably a blended approach will work. More effective, more effective to do this work. Something which we can come together and something we can do it online platform and things like that. But in the given context, if I have to run independently both of them, I believe the online version, which is a kind of a 1 month period time which we deliver the program with lot of a space to learn, lot to reflect, lot to do the assignments and work, reaching out to the group, is more effective than the 3 days class session.